and welcome to the Extremis Publishing Podcast. I'm Tom Christie, and I'm delighted to be broadcasting to you today from an entirely new location for the podcast, and one which will become apparent as we discuss things, because here at the heart of Stirling you'll find a whole variety of really amazing attractions. There's Stirling Castle, the Old Town Jail, the Church of the Holyrood, the Tolbooth, and now there is a brand new attraction in town, and that is the King Street Aparthotel. It's a fantastic new addition to Stirling, right here in the very heart of town, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Neil Munday, who is the Managing Director of the Aparthotel, who's very kindly agreed to join us and to talk a little bit about it today. So Neil, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Yeah, thank you for the invite, Tom. It's fantastic to speak to your listeners.
Well, it's very kind of you to have invited us here, because it really is an absolutely remarkable building, and one which is really, right here in the historic heart of Stirling, not just the epicentre of town, but also somewhere that is very, very close to so many areas of interest. How did the project come about?
So, my background was corporate sales. I did that for 30 years, and COVID gave me a reason to want to do something different after all of that time spending, traveling, sitting on planes and staying in hotels. Now, some people think that might have been a lavish lifestyle post-COVID, but I can assure you it gets very tiring, and I wanted to do something different. So I decided to embark on a project to develop my own hotel as a result of some deep thought during COVID. So about 2.5 years ago, I found this wonderful building to acquire in the city centre of Stirling. It had been empty for many, many years. It hadn't been used, and like a lot of city centre historical buildings, it was just left to go to rack and ruin. So I acquired it. I spent about a year to get the planning permission and the associated consents to do what I wanted to do, and what we now have is a 20,000 square feet building divided up into a 15 room aparthotel and a wonderful flexible workspace business on the first floor of the building with private offices, co-working facilities, podcast studio, and many other things.
Well, it'd be great to discuss all of the different facilities in turn, because it seems to me this is the perfect place both for tourists who are coming to Stirling to, visit the area, find out more about the history and the culture of the city, but also for people who are here to do business as well. It's a really interesting blend of the two. So let's talk a little bit about the hospitality side of things then, and the really remarkable series of rooms that you have here, because it really is, somewhere that couldn't be more central.
Yeah, so obviously the location was pretty key. We wanted somewhere that was easily accessible from the motorway network, but also on the doorstep of the rail station and bus station, and we are literally 2 minutes away from both. In terms of what we have here, as I've mentioned, it's a historical building listed in nature. And what we wanted to do was provide an experience, a product for our guests that brought some kind of modern features, and we're very technology centric, which we'll talk a little bit more about, but also retained a lot of the historical features and the old fashioned kind of cornice ceilings and some of the the high skirting and things like that in the building. So we have 15 rooms and suites within our hotel accommodation. The suites are comprised of a living area or a lounge area, as well as a sleeping area. So as a minimum, those suites will sleep 4 people. And the larger suites, of which we have 2, will sleep up to 6 people. So fantastic for families. All of our suites have kitchen areas, but we don't have cooking facilities on site. We do have a fridge, we have a sink, we have pod machines for coffee. And our strategy is very much to push people out into the community and work with our partners, the coffee shops, the restaurants, the bars, etc., that we have on our doorstep in King Street.
And that's a really important thing to note, actually, because you're right in the epicentre of that commercial area here in King Street, but also you're only walking distance away from so many different attractions, whether it be the Albert Halls, the Stirling Smith Art Gallery Museum, the Central Library in Corn Exchange Road, and of course all of those wonderful tourist areas just up the road, because it is very much the kind of historical epicentre of Stirling here, with the castle and all of those other attractions so near at hand.
Yeah, absolutely, and to kind of build on our kind of community, kind of wealth building message, which I talked about earlier. So we're not just in this business for ourselves. You know, we've obviously got the hotel, and we'll touch on our workspace business, but a lot of the local businesses are going to be benefiting from us being here in the city centre. You know, with the footfall that we're going to have coming through our building. Now, kind of extending beyond the food and beverage component that I talked about, we're also working very closely with a lot of the attractions in the city. So whether that be the Wallace Monument or the castle, obviously being the kind of bigger, more iconic institutions, but we're working with the likes of the Church of Holyrood. We're working with the Counts Hospital to try and kind of promote those attractions to all of our guests way before they arrive here at our hotel. Now, the beauty of having only 15 rooms is that we can offer a very tailored and personal experience to those guests coming to visit us. And we have a fantastic house manager, Laura, who will spend the time and the effort to basically get to know our guests well before they arrive at our property. An example of what we're doing, which we've started to build on, is what we're doing with the Argyll and Sutherland Museum. So we know those guys pretty well. Isla, who kind of runs the place, invited himself and Paul, my business partner, up there. And what we've done is we didn't quite appreciate that they were a third sector organisation. So we've named one of our rooms, one of our suites, after their regimental mascot, Crooken. And every time somebody stays in that room, we donate some of the proceeds of that stay to the museum, which has obviously gone down very well with the museum. But we're also doing similar things with Strathcarron now, and some of the other charities in the area and in the Forth Valley, like Maggie's.
Because the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders Museum, one of the most respected organisations in the area, but also a really remarkable place. And if you haven't been, I would warmly recommend it, because it tells the full story of Stirling's martial history, going back centuries right up until the present day. And that actually is an interesting thing when you think about it, because it's often said about Stirling itself that it's a strange fusion, but a very effective fusion of the ancient and the modern. And it seems to me that you've captured some aspect of that in the hotel by retaining all of those original features and yet having all of the most modern, up-to-date facilities.
Yeah, and for those that have not visited us yet, feel free to give us a call and come and have a look around, because I think one thing you'll probably be impressed with is what we've done with some of the feature walls throughout the building. So we've worked with local artist David Galately, who you may know was the artist that put together the big mural down at the railway station in Stirling. Very much involved in the Stirling 900 artwork that you see around the city as well. But what we've done is we've captured every wall tells a different story, and we've captured a lot of the historical features and some of the history of Stirling throughout the building. So it's a fantastic talking point, and it's fantastic social media content if anybody wants to come and have a look at what we've done here.
So let's move from the hospitality aspect of things to the commercial aspect of things, because the Aparthotel has some really tremendous facilities available for businesses really of all sizes. And I mean, that might not necessarily be commercial business, it could be third sector organisations as well. What can you tell us about what's on offer?
So we have two businesses running within the same building. We've talked about the Aparthotel, King Street Aparthotel, But our other sister business is called WorKing Flexispaces. So within WorKing Flexispaces, we have private offices, so ranging from 2 desks up to 10 desks, and we have 13 of those within the building. And local businesses or businesses that are wanting to base their organisation in Stirling can effectively take one of these offices on a license to occupy. So very flexible. We're not tying organisations into long-term leases. They can move in, they can, give a relatively short notice period to move out, and it gives that flexibility. Now, the beauty of the model, which we're finding is more of a bigger phenomenon, and it's getting bigger and bigger, is that more and more organizations are looking for that level of flexibility, and all of your costs are included in one cost ultimately. So you pay on a per desk per month. So if you have 2 desks, you pay for 2 desks, and within the cost of that 2 desks, you get obviously your office, you get the furniture, your utilities, your internet provision, use of the business lounge, use of our on-site gym. So lots of capabilities and features as part of that kind of single price per month, which businesses are really enjoying. In addition to that, we also have we have conferencing facilities, so you can book meeting rooms or effectively run your board meeting here. You can book that by the half day or by the day. We have event space. We can seat up to 50 people in an auditorium style, all hands style kind of setup with a large screen projector, surround sound. You can book that by the hour or on a weekend. We've got co-working, hot desking, 15 hot desks. We have a range of membership options for that as well, with private phone booths where you can go in and make a private call. And we have our podcast studio, which is part of that business as well, which you can also hire by the hour or by the day.
Yeah, because Stirling's a fantastic place to do business, and I have to say, I'm slightly biased saying that because their own company is based here. But I mean, whether you're doing business with other companies in Glasgow or Edinburgh or Perth or even Dundee, you're really centrally located here in Stirling, and it makes it a really useful and very vibrant place for a business community, to collaborate with other industries, and indeed, sometimes to find the most unexpected of collegiate opportunities. That's what really makes it such an interesting, exciting and vibrant place to do business. So I hope that you will, consider the options that are available here, because there are just so many different opportunities that are available, including, as you mentioned, things like video conferencing and so much more besides. It really is. It's useful to know about all of those things, but in particular, I would like to speak to you about this fantastic podcast studio itself. It would be remiss of me not to ask a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, this one was an interesting project. So once we'd started the development of the building, which I was effectively project managing, I was on site every day, mixing a bit of project management with a bit of kind of lifting and shifting and stacking skips, which was very different to my corporate career. But kind of as we were going through the development, our original plan was to use this room that we're in now as another meeting room. Think of the building as an old traditional office block back in the day, with the central core, having the toilet facilities and washroom facilities. This is exactly what this room was that we're sat in now. We're on the top floor of the building, and there is a flat roof goes right down the core of the building. So that gives us the ability to put a roof lantern to let some natural light into the space, which was the first thing. And then we decided to effectively give it a bit of a punt. Right? We thought, well, let's try this. Let's try it. Let's start with the end in mind and build a professional, world-class recording studio right from the get-go, as opposed to thinking of it as an afterthought and just trying to kind of convert a room that we'd built for something else. So that's how it came about, Tom. We didn't really know much about podcasting other than the fact that I listen to lots of podcasts. And but what we found as we've started to do our market research is that there is a huge market out there, not just for podcasting, but for actors, actresses looking to do voiceover work, music artists looking to do recording. We've had some requests for that, and even recording audio books or online training content. We've got lots of use cases, and it could arguably become the most valuable room in our building.
Well, it certainly wouldn't surprise me, because a number of people I've spoken to who have had to travel to Edinburgh or Glasgow to find recording facilities, irrespective of whether they're doing spoken word features, podcasts, audiobooks, or even, as you mentioned, music and singing. It'll be very welcome, I think, to many people listening at home to know that there's a facility right here in the centre of Stirling that can offer all of those opportunities. So I certainly hope that you will find out more about it. And how would people find out more? Is there a website and social media?
Yeah, there certainly is. Yeah, so we have two websites. One for the WorKing Flexispaces business, which is www.workingflexispaces. That's working as in working 9 till 5. Flexispaces with an S on the end .com. And we have our Aparthotel is simply King Street Aparthotel.com. You'll be able to see all of the images and the photographic evidence of what we have here. But as I've mentioned before, if anyone's passing by, give us a knock. Come in for a coffee. We would love to show you around. If I'm not here, our house manager Laura will be more than happy to give anybody the guided tour of both the hotel and the workspace business.
So let's have a chat about some of the less expected facilities here, because it may come as a surprise to some people to know that there is actually a gym available to the guests here, and it's somewhat exclusive, but well worth seeing.
Yeah, so again, we were trying to kind of find this blend of providing services to our working colleagues down in the business lounge and the offices, but also for the hotel guests. And a lot of people take their gym kit with them when they're traveling, and some people don't use it, but it's always nice to have that option. To unwind, before you go out for a nice big stroll around Stirling, to see all of the wonderful sites that we have here. And then from an office user perspective, with the whole kind of explosion of hybrid working, having that capability to be able to work out before you start your day, or have a workout before you go home, to the family after you've been working in your office for the day, we thought was a nice touch to blend that kind of wealth and health thing together. But we've also got changing rooms, shower facilities, male, female facilities. So, we've got one option is to obviously use those facilities if you're using the gym, but you may want to cycle to work and freshen up before you basically start your working day. So all of those things we've thought about as we've developed the building.
And one thing I must ask you actually is, with the Aparthotel being so perfectly located right here in the centre of Stirling, what would you say would be your number one destination for people coming to the area, perhaps for the first time? What do you think is a must-see location or range of locations here in Stirling? Yeah,
so as you'd expect, we've kind of thought about that as well. And when we did our market research, we spent a lot of time with Visit Scotland and some other tour operators and the likes. And the message we were getting loud and clear was that the reason people were passing through Stirling was because the accommodation wasn't great, and there wasn't a reason to stay in Stirling for more than a night. Even if they decided to stay for that one night, they would happily stay in Edinburgh, they would happily stay in Glasgow and commute to Stirling for the day on a day trip. Having this boutique hotel obviously changes that, but we're working very much on packaging a multi-day stay, okay, to keep people in the kind of Stirling area. And as you've mentioned, there are many wonderful things to see in Stirling once you're here. So we're teaming up with some of the attractions and working with the likes of Jeff Morrison on the City Pass to ensure that people don't just visit the castle and the Wallace Monument, which are fantastic venues, but a lot of people go to the castle and they don't even go to the museum, right? So, we're trying to kind of promote that as much as we can because it's such a wonderful place. But also the Church of the Holy Rood, massively understated. A coronated king, in that establishment. Not a lot of people knew that, right? And not a lot of people know that. The toll booth, the Albert Halls, we're on the doorstep of all these wonderful places. And if you want to go further afield and use King Street Aparthotel as your base, you're on the doorstep to the Forth Valley, to the Kelpies, and to the Falkirk Wheel. So you've got so many things to keep you busy in this area.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, these are all wonderful attractions for people visiting the area, but for people seeking to do business, if anything, there are just as many attractions because right here in the centre of Stirling, very close to the Forth Valley Chamber of Commerce, to Stirling University, to Stirling District Tourism, to Forth Valley College's Stirling campus. There are just so many different opportunities for collaboration and partnership working here. So, really, it is quite literally the best of both worlds, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, we think so, and we're working very collaboratively, as I've mentioned, with all the local businesses, but also the local radio station, with their Community Matters programme, helping the youngsters that they're bringing through their kind of media production courses. We've got the capability here to help with that with our podcast studio. But on the flip side, they're helping us with our podcast editing. So, some of the students who are working for the Stirling Community Radio, we'll take, the concept is we'll give them, or the client who uses the podcast studio will give them their file once they've recorded their podcast, and effectively treat it as a bit of a dragon's den. Who can give us the best edited version of what we've just recorded? And if that's the best one gets chosen, and a donation gets made to a good cause as a result. So we're trying to collaborate and involve as many of the local businesses and third sector organisations as we can in our venture.
Well, if you're listening at home and you are either a visitor to Stirling for the first time or you fancy coming here for the 21st time, if you are a business who's looking to hot desk or perhaps to have your business offices in a particular central location in Stirling, or perhaps you're a third sector organisation that wants to make use of top-class conference facilities with all of the latest technology, there really is literally something for everyone here at the King Street Aparthotel. So I'm very grateful to you, Neil, for having taken the time to speak with us today. It's been a great pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you very much, Tom.
And thank you very much at home for listening. I will look forward to speaking with you again soon, and I hope that you'll tune in again.